Yeah, I know this is not the correct way to do that. The drain plug looks dry. Oh yeah, we are under the blue F-150, which is a 91 to be exact. And you heard me mention when I was cleaning the interior of the Fusion that the transmission sprung a leak. I suspect the front seal, but I want to make sure that everything else is good and tight. Yeah, that drain plug on the converter is good. Oh yeah, previously I went ahead and removed the inspection plug and the front plate. Of course, I did that just a few days after I brought it home, but I hadn't done anything else. And I never had really actually looked underneath it doing an inspection. You can see there's some fluid. It's come down along the side of the case also. So I'm also going to get my line wrenches and check the lines and make sure those are tight. I got one that looks like it's loose, but fluid is not going to drift forward when the vehicle is moving in forward action. So I'm going to say that's pretty much not going to be it. So far everything else is looking good. It looks like transmission will have to come out of it. So far anyway. Okay, let's move on to cooler lines. Okay, now the next one is the real toughie. You probably can't see it on camera because it's hard to get into. And I can't quite get the light up there to it. Oh, that was loose. Yeah. I probably turned that a good half turn. But it doesn't look like it's been leaking there, so I don't know. Okay, next thing will be pan bolts. We'll move on to that. Like I said, before you go, and pull a transmission out, check to make sure it's not something small and minor that can be fixed relatively easily. And make sure that it is transmission fluid that you're leaking. I'd hate for you to make the mistake, think you have a transmission leaking a seal. You pull it and replace it, and it was actually like a drain plug seal that was leaking. It can happen. I've seen that done. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the oil pan bolts. Okay, these oil pan bolts are a 10 millimeter. And I'm not getting after them with too much abuse. God, that was a little loose. Usually, the ones in the back, the experience I had, are the ones that come loose or work their way loose first. Oh yeah, I had a gentleman a while back commented in. I haven't forgot. I just hadn't had a chance to try to, to redo it. You made a comment about that you switched your tail lights to LEDs, and when you did that, you lost your turn signals. I've been aiming. Oh, that was real loose. I've been aiming to pick up some bulbs and try to duplicate that. But I haven't been, I couldn't remember to. And I'm kind of wondering if it isn't the turn signal flasher itself that causes that issue. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But we'll get into that. Like I said, we'll try to mock that setup and see what happens. And I'll need an 8mm. Had one all along. And what I'm going to do is absolutely nothing. I need a wrench. Okay, hold on. I'll get a wrench and I'll be right back. It's tight. Well, yeah, shout out to a friend of mine. She just was offered an internship at Disney World. Yeah, Disney World, Florida. Yes. And she accepted it. Congratulations on that. It's pretty awesome, by the way. Well, that's really awesome, by the way. Shoot. Okay, well, everything is looking tight. And the next thing we need to do is we'll start it up and see what falls to the ground. All right. Okay, I have pulled. Well, I've wiped it all down, and I drove it down the road. It's hot, and you can see a little bit there. I don't think, that might be transmission fluid. This does have an oil leak, and I've gotten the two confused. It's not hard to do, actually. Because the transmission fluid isn't really clean, and the engine oil is clean, so they're kind of going to be very similar to the same color under here, unfortunately. But I run my finger in here, and there's some crud. So I do suspect there is leakage in here, which is kind of weird because you'd think that it would be on the torque converter, and it's not. The torque converter's dry. So I might just go ahead and pull it and put a front seal in it and be done with it. Transmission shifts fine, pulls fine, no slips or anything, so I believe I can probably just get by with just putting the front seal in it. But when I drove it to Owensboro, it had a pretty significant leak. It was like drip, 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 drip. But it hasn't been leaking anything like that. I drove it about 5 miles up the road, drove it back, and I kind of stall tested it, and it seemed like it was working just fine. And I don't know. Well, anyway, so that's what we're looking at. Another project coming up. I've been kind of not been able to do it. Been kind of waiting for the weather to clear up enough where I could fool with it. So that'll probably be in the next couple of weeks anyway. The interior is a mess. I need to give it a cleaning. I was actually planning to do that when I got back the following weekend, but I never did. Let's so that's coming up too. Oh yeah, remember back in 2012 when I put different floor mats in it, those finally wore a hole, and I put different ones, I put the original ones back in it for the time being. That's been a couple of years back. I never made a video on that. There's been so many videos that I should have made, but just didn't get around to, just for whatever reason. But I'm back now, so that's all behind us. Needs power door lock actuators. I ordered them here about a year or so ago. Then they sent me an email. They said they were out of stock. So I just canceled the order and never did bother to order any after that. Been driving around with the power window switches hanging out of it for past 6 years. Might have been even longer. I'm thinking it was late 2011. Sometime in 2012, I had problems with the power window switches. And I just pulled a bezel out and pulled a switch. And I've been driving it like that ever since and just never have got around to it. I need to order a switch for it. Also, a fuel tank selector switch. I have to get one of those. That one's bad. I've got it rigged up where it works, but I need to fix it. Alright, well that's about all for tonight. So, I wanted to do a better update video, but I didn't put much planning into it, as I should have, so this is kind of a short one. But anyway, so we're about done. We're going to shut the hood, and we're going to call it a night. But before I hang up, before I shut it down, I'll go ahead and mention, in case you didn't know, I might have some new viewers coming in. I post every Wednesday and every Saturday. If you leave a comment, if it seems like I'm a little slow to answer, I'm kind of busy sometimes, so I answer mainly on Mondays and Thursdays. You can go ahead and shoot me a message anytime. I generally try to answer emails as I can. Comments, I kind of handle that a little bit differently. Sometimes during the week I have other things going on, and Mondays and Thursdays are just the best times that I can get back to answering everyone. So, with that being said, I hope everyone has a good night, and I hope you all have a good weekend, and I will see you Wednesday.